All right, Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, not affiliated with any other Israelite group, nor any other Christian organization. All right. Don't forget to put your name, city, and state. Don't forget to sign in and check in. Don't forget to do those things. If you have any questions, in the chat. All right. Let's see. All right, Shalom. All right, so here we go. So tonight's topic, we're going to kind of touch bases on. Of course, you guys know that this is the ninth class. I see it too. Shalom. All right, Shalom. Troop, I see you. Yahweh Shashab Kata. And Shalom to the sister Yahweh Shamar Latah Bashim Yahushua. All right. So we're gonna get into it, right? So we all know this is the history class. Now, history is something very important to understand. You understand? Like we need to know our history, right? And the reason why is because history explains a lot. History brings us back to our actual culture, especially if you're looking at the right history. All right. And most importantly, as blacks and Latinos and Native Americans, we need to look at the right history. And also, most importantly, as well, we need to look at our history. Time and time again, we're always looking at another races of people's history or another nations of people's history. We all know about the Holocaust. We all know about American history. Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and Abraham Lincoln and the Roosevelt. You know, we know their history. You understand? We know their history, but we need to actually learn our history. And so happenly, if you did not know, you know today that the Bible is our history. The Bible is real black history. You understand? Like everyone today, like everyone during the month of February is always pro-black, and they, everybody wants to talk about Black history this, Black history that. But we've been talking about Black history forever. We've been talking about Black history since 1969. We don't talk about history. We don't need 28 to 29 days to talk about Black or Hispanic or Native American history. We don't need a week or a month for Native Heritage Month to talk about Native American history. We don't need a Hispanic or Latino week or month in order to talk about because this is our history is going to be throughout the years because we are in charge of our own nation. We are in charge of our own government. That's why the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, we're trying to establish a government. Not trying, we are establishing the government of the Most High. We're establishing the government that's going to be under God. That's what the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge is doing. And I'm going to bring up historical records of where generals and captains and officers actually come from. You understand? Because that's a part of history. You understand? And we're going to talk about how how God's government is established because this has been since Moses' time. If y'all didn't notice, all the generals and the captains and the officers, this has been forever. All right, since during the time of like the Lord was establishing His government with Moses. And that's why we were in the wilderness. Right, we were in the wilderness because we were coming back to our culture, and the Lord was going to make sure whoever He brought into the nation of Israel was going to serve Him. You understand? And was going to live by His commandments and to establish His nation the way He wants His nation to be established. And that's what the ISUPK is doing back here. And we're going and it's Black history. We're going to get into that Black history because this is Black history according to the Most High. This is Black history actually in the Bible. You understand? We've been bringing out Black history before Black History Month even started out. We've been talking about the black man that made the lawnmower, the black woman with fiber optics, the black woman that got our oppressor to the moon. The black woman that was a supercomputer. You understand? We've been done that. We've been doing this forever. The black man that created that street, the black man that created the cell phone, the video game. You understand? Like we've been talking about this. All right? The black man that made Jack Daniels. You understand? Like Jack Daniels, that whiskey, a black man created that. You guys, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, like we've been talking about Black history forever. We don't need to do it. You understand? But since our people need a month, and since our people have been convinced that we need a month to ourselves because we're slaves, we are the minority in America, and we are the slaves of America. So we need to feel important. We need to feel like, and so because of here we are in the month of February, Black History Month, right? So we're gonna get some Black History. We're gonna get some Black history tonight, and we're gonna talk about establishing the government of the Lord. You understand? And we're gonna get into these precepts. If anybody has any questions too as well, please ask. All right, put your questions into the live chat and please ask. Let's see. So let's get Exodus. All right, we're gonna get Exodus chapter. Let's get 18. So here we go. I'm gonna make sure it's nice and big for everybody to see. Salaki again, if y'all can't, my keyboard is kind of moving kind of slow. All right. If anybody has anybody to put it into the live chat as well, we're gonna get into tonight's lesson though. And so this tonight's lesson, remember, the Bible is Black history. The Bible is black. We even have a series about the Bible being black. Everything in the Bible is black. You understand? King Solomon was black. King David was black. God, you understand? Christ is black. You understand? And when we mean by that too, it's like, black meaning you're, so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. Like the Bible is black. Like we think that we're a separate people, but the Mexicans are black. You know what I'm saying? You're just a Mexican. The Puerto Ricans are black. The Dominicans are black. The Navajo, the Iroquois, the Cherokee, the Wampanoag, the Pequot, they're black. You understand? The Seminoles, black. The Cubans, black. The El Salvadorians, the Costa Ricans. You understand? Those Peruvians, Colombians, absolutely black. The Bible is black. King Solomon had a grill in his mouth and a bunch of gold chains down his neck. The Bible is black. Frying chicken is in the Bible in Leviticus chapter 2. The Bible is black. You understand? Like black is throughout the Bible. And how we're going to get this history, all right, about establishing the government, all right, and how our government was established. Like our government isn't going to be like America's government, because America's government is completely unjust, all right? It's built off of injustice, all right? To America, when we should be giving more trust in the Most High and the God of this Bible. And because of Christianity, because of those pastors, how can I say this? Because of Christianity and our pastors, they failed to teach our people, all right, that the Bible, God's laws, statutes, and commandments was a way to establish a nation of people. Like the Bible was the records of a certain race and nation of people. And it was a layout. It was a layout. It was for us to live by, like a blueprint for us to establish a government, our own nation. It wasn't for the individual. You understand? Like because of Christianity, they teach our people about individualism and personal relationship with God and all this kind of stuff, building a personal relationship with the Most High. That's not really a thing. You understand? Like the Bible wasn't based on individualism. That really wasn't a thing. It was about building a nation. It was about coming together and building a nation. That was the purpose of the Bible. If you look in law, so we're going to get in Exodus chapter 18, verse 13. This is the history of it, right? So you got Exodus chapter 18, verse 13. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses spake to judge the people. Now, Moses was judging the people because Moses was in that position of power. The Lord's in charge. A lot of our people failed to get taught that Moses was put in charge. The Lord chose Moses to lead the people. You understand? If you were not allowed to just make yourself a leader. Like that's what makes America's go. Just get up and make yourself a leader. You may believe that you can lead the people, but unless the Lord made you a leader over the people, you were not to lead anyone. You are not fit to lead anyone. Not everyone is supposed to be leading everyone or anyone. The Lord never set it up that way. The Lord put Moses in charge. We did not vote for Moses. We did not say, okay, this party right here and this party right here. Like that was our oppressors' culture. That's American culture. That's white culture. That's what they do. If you go and if you guys want that precept later on in class, no sweat. You can actually go into the Apocrypha, which is a part of the original King James Version Bible, of course. And I can take you into 1st or 2nd Maccabees, where you see in Rome, in Greek, they're establishing a Congress. They're establishing a Senate, all right? And every 2 years you get a new leader. which was at that time, it was the whoever was the emperor of Rome, which was like either Julius Caesar, not at that time in particular, but it could have been any of them, right? Like during that time, that's where our oppressor gets it from. Like that stuff is recorded in the Bible because the Bible is an actual history book, is an actual record of a nation of people. It's telling our side of history in God's side of history. Like our oppressor tells their side of history. That's why you know about the Greeks and the different gods and goddesses and Athena and Cupid and Zeus and Hercules and Hermes and all these other Greeks and gods and goddesses. And that's why you know about Norse mythology and Odin and Thor and Loki and all these other gods of Norse mythology on Mount Olympus and the Norse, I mean, Greek mythology, Mount Olympus, mythology, Mount Valhalla. Like you know more about these things because they tell their side of history. But allow this priest and prophet of the Lord today in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander General Yohana in the state of Virginia, in the Hampton Roads, in the 804, which is Richmond, in the 757, tell you about God's history and the history of establishing a nation for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because that's what the Lord really wants. The Lord wants us to establish our own nation. If you're wondering why nothing is working, you're wondering why we're always being the felon in prison, is because we're not following what the Lord really wants us to follow. No thanks to our oppressor and no thanks to Christianity, we now believe that we don't have to follow the laws of God. But God's laws was a blueprint and a structure and a foundation for us to follow in order to establish a nation, to establish a government. There's a word I'm particularly looking for. It's not structure, it's not just foundation, it's not just blueprint. Give me another word for blueprint. There's another word out there, blueprint. Anyone out there, smart out there? Listen, my people are smart. If you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American, I know you're smart. Give me another word for blueprint, or another word for structure. It's slipping my mind, and it's going to bother me. All right, it's going to bother me in tonight's class if I don't get this word. I use it all the time, and it's such a heavy word to use because it's just perfect. It's just a perfect word to use. Y'all give me another word for that. All right, but I'm gonna continue on. And so that Moses stayed to judge the people because Moses was over the people, and he was there to judge. Does anybody know what it means? Judge, right? It's throughout the Bible. The word judge is throughout the Bible. And you know what? Everyone, let's just look up the word judge. All right, let's look up the word judge. All right, there's so many definitions of judge, but it's not. Why did I click judge in there? Like as if. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? As if that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to put in Merriam dictionary first. That's what I wanted to do. Let's give me that Merriam Webster dictionary. We're gonna get that. Merriam. Okay, that's not it. I hiding behind. There we go. We're gonna get the definition of judge real quick. So let's get a definition of judge. Because of Christianity, right? You know, we believe judging means how. Okay, America has kind of changed. Okay, well, it didn't change really anything, not entirely, right? But because of Christianity and our oppressor, certain words have been given new meanings. You guys understand that? Like new meanings. Like at one point in time, the word cheating did not mean what cheating means today. Cheating in the 14 and 13, 1500s meant something completely different than it is today. Cheating meant this and the now, it's not just cheating on a test anymore. Cheating now is damn near infidelity and adultery. All right, that's the words that we now use, but that's not what it meant at one point in time. So because of society, these words have been given more than one meaning to it now, and a different meaning than what it used to mean. And so it says one who makes judgment such as a public official authorized to decide questions brought before a court, one appointed to decide in a contest or competition, one who gives an authoritative opinion. All right, I want y'all to right here, right, an authoritative opinion. All right, critic. This definition often capitalize a tribal hero exercising leadership among the Hebrews after the death of Joshua. That's specifically in the definition because it comes from that word judge comes from the Bible. No one knew this, but these words, some of these words are specifically from our culture. Like, did you know America wouldn't have its court system? I don't know if you guys knew that, but our oppressor took our culture and the way we set up how we set up our nation and our government. They took bits and pieces of it and made it their own. There was no such thing as judges in other nations and races of people because they believed that they could do whatever they wanted and whenever they wanted. There was no real rules and regulations or moral compass in these other nations of people. Like, I want y'all to understand the history. Do you think the Greeks and the Romans really cared if someone murdered someone? They practiced homosexuality, lesbianism. They practiced having sex with children. They practiced having a bunch of orgies. They practiced prostitution. That's what they did. Like, that was Roman and Greek culture. Do you really believe that that's what they? Do you really believe that they moralists, like they judges at that time? No, they took that from us because they realized that doesn't sound like a bad idea. We should start living more based on a morality, like on a moral standpoint and a moral compass, so we can be more organized as a people. And these races, and they've seen the Israelites and the Jews live that way, and they took from us and they made it their own. These other nations and all these other nations of people did not believe in God at one point, nor did they structure themselves how the Bible says to structure themselves or blueprint themselves. The Bible to print yourself. They believed in whatever and however and whenever, and you can look that up. The movies tell you. Look at Hollywood. How you have like the Persians and the East Indians and the Babylonians, the Greeks and the Romans doing whatever. They're like laying down on the couch, getting eat grapes, and a bunch of naked women running around, and it's a whorehouse. You know what I'm saying? Them having sex with whores and having sex with little boys and children and things like that. Like, that was their culture, but that was not our culture. And now Moses stayed to judge the people because Moses was appointed a judge over the Israelites. He was appointed to be in charge of the Israelites. He was making an authoritative opinion. All right, that's what judge means. A judge means you are appointed and you have an authoritative opinion and you have the authority to make a decision, and that's final. All right. Unlike America, their opinions, their decision unjust, because America's system is based off of injustice against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It has always been like that. Like that 13th Amendment, when we believed the 13th Amendment was freeing the slaves, it was just constitutionalizing slavery. And the only way to go back into slavery, according to the 13th Amendment, was for you to get a trial with the jury. But everybody knows what black man is going to get some fair trial in 1864 or 1865 when we can't even get a fair trial in 2023. Like, this is America. You understand? And we have to accept the reality. Our culture, we had laws based off of morality that we had to judge based off of. And it was our own people judging us, making righteous judgments. And so Moses to judge the people, Moses stayed to judge the people. And the people stood by Moses from morning. It's like it and the people stood by Moses from the morning unto the evening. So from morning to evening, which is pretty much day to pretty much when the sun goes down, from the sun coming up and the sun going down, Moses was judging the people. And the people would go to about everything. You name it. Anything dealing, like, think about what a judge does. Think about the court system today, in a way, how they have different judges for different things. Like Moses, imagine Moses at this time was dealing with thousands of blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. All right, there's hundreds and thousands of us in the wilderness, and Moses was in charge of all of us and all of our problems. So think about how the court system is today, and you have like a bunch of different judges, right? You got like you got a domestic judge, you got family court, you got divorce court, all these other type of courts, right? Criminal court, all these things, right? Moses was in charge of all of that. All right. Moses was even in charge of just getting simple counseling, because that's what judges would do. All right. Like that was the job of a judge. You know what I'm saying? That's the position of a judge in Israel. All right. And the Lord appointed Moses to do so. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, so now Moses' father-in-law, okay, so if y'all do not know, to give you a backdrop, it may say it in the chapter, if I don't quite remember, but Moses' father-in-law name is Jethro. If I'm saying it, Jethro, all right, and he was another nation, all right, he was not an Israelite, all right, but because Moses married outside of his nation, even though he was not. That's why Moses did not make it into Israel. He didn't make it into the land of Israel. All right. A lot of the Israelites did not make it into the nation of Israel because the Lord was not going to bring that there. You understand? But Moses was not allowed. Moses was never supposed to marry outside of his nation. That's in the wilderness. There's so many accounts of us getting in trouble for intermingling and having interracial marriages. Like the Lord is against interracial marriages. You were never allowed to go outside of your nation of people and have sex with their daughters or their sons, which is marriage, because you were never allowed to do such things, right? And so the father-in-law, he saw this, right? He saw this, right? He saw what was going on. He saw everything. He saw the responsibilities of Moses, and this was his response. What is this thing that thou doest? Like what are you doing? Why sittest thou? Why sittest thyself alone? So he's not asking in the context of he doesn't know what he's doing. Because of course, I think it will say it in this chapter, but Jethro held the very same position in his people, for his people, charge of his people, just like how Moses was appointed by God, right, to be over his people as a judge and to make sure everything runs smoothly and handle different cases and different problems and situations that's going on. All right. Like this is how the Lord established things to the people. Why sittest thyself alone? And all the people stand by thee from morning unto even. Like you're doing this by yourself. And all the people are from when the sun goes up until the sun goes down. All these people are your problem, and you're just doing it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And Jethro seen his father-in-law, which is Jethro, that's his name. Moses' father-in-law saw this. Right? He saw this. And so now, and Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God. Right? And so it says, because the people, this was because to me to inquire of God. Like this is what this scripture is also saying as well. In a lot of, because of Christianity, we just breeze past scriptures, but we break everything down. Does anybody know what it means to inquire? Y'all let me know what inquire means. I'm gonna look it up for y'all too. These words actually mean something. What does it mean to inquire? Did I spell it incorrectly? Let me know. An old way of doing when it's a lot. Anyway, I think they would mark your paper wrong. But inquire, definition 1, to put a question, seek for information by questioning, right? To make investigation or inquiry, right? To ask about, right? These are different definitions and meanings of to inquire. I believe that is it. To search, right? To search into, right? So pretty much to search, to investigate, to ask. Like that's what it means to inquire, all right? Was to ask. And so here's the point, right? Here's really the bottom line of it, of how our nation was constructed and built. When Exodus 18 and 15, when it says, and Moses said unto his father-in-law, meaning Moses' response to Jethro, because the people come unto me, inquire of God, why Moses is doing it. But here's the thing. If you wanted to know about God, if you had a question about the Most High, you could not just go to anyone for your answer. If your question was particularly, you could not just go to any random Smo Joe. You had to go to who the Lord put in charge, all right, and who the Lord put in authority to ask about the Most High. Like, this is why our people truly don't know about God, and that's why they believe that they're still Christian, right? First thing first, I know, okay, think about it. And I'm going to say just like this, and we all said this before. How are we going to hate and despise slavery, but not Christianity, which Christianity is a part of slavery? Our people hate everything about slavery but Christianity. That is what stays through slavery. You understand? Salakia. Let that ring a bell a little. Let that simmer and marinate with your soul. We despise and hate slavery. We hate what happened to us. You understand? But here we are. Here we are, just living it up in the Christian church. Stomping, praising, catching the Holy Ghost, quote unquote, doing all kinds of nonsense. But we despise everything about slavery. If you want to know about the Most High, you had to go to the men of the Lord who God put in charge. You were never allowed to go to anyone who the Lord did not put in charge, because the Lord never worked that way. But because of Christianity, we believe it works that way. Because of Christianity, we believe on an individual standpoint. Like, Christianity made our people into a bunch of schizophrenics. Like, by the time, like, if you grew up in the Christian church, by the time you're 35, by the time you're 38, by the time you're 42, you're damn near schizophrenic, because the voices, and you believe the voices in your head is God. Understand? Do you know how many people truly believe God is talking to them because they hear voices in their head? That's a mental illness. All right, that's called being a schizophrenic. The Lord does not talk to you on an individual basis. All right, but because of Christianity, it never worked like that. It only worked like that for who the Lord put in charge. You understand? And even then, it wasn't even always a conversation. It was a sign. You know what I'm saying? You ask something for the Lord, and He didn't talk to you. And it was always the prophets of the Lord who the Lord put in charge. It wasn't just some random Joe Smo. You understand? It was never like that. All right. Now, whatever. Now, if you truly believe the Lord is talking to you, all right, and you truly believe, you bring that message to the men of the Lord, and we'll determine if that message is of the Lord. That's also what you should do. If you truly believe the Lord sent you a message, all right, and you think this message is from the Lord, no sweat, brother. No sweat, brother. No sweat, sister. Bring that message. Bring that message to me. You bring that message to the school, and we'll let you know if that message is truly from God. All right. Now, this is how you determine if that message is from God or not. If God said I should be preaching the gospel to everybody, that's most likely not from the Lord, and that's just some demon out. All right. If the Lord told you, this 15-year-old girl is calling my name, and God said that's going to be my wife. That's probably not from the Lord, Ak, and you're just a disgusting pedophile. All right, you get my point. All right, I want y'all to realize this. Oh, the Lord said, and that's the message in the gospel that the Lord sent to me. I know for sure the Lord did not tell you some BS like that, Ak. The Lord didn't tell you no BS like that, Ak. Wow. You guys get the point? I'll let you know if the Lord is talking to you or not. I'm gonna let you know right now. He's not talking to you. I'm not talking to not anyone. All right. He's not dealing with us on an individual level. All right. I pray y'all understand. All right. Just because the moon is facing one way, that's not a sign from God. Don't think everything in the sky is a goddamn sign from God either. Because we worship the stars, we worship the moon, the sun, the stars. Like that's why we believe in zodiacs. We believe in being like a Libra, a Leo. Now don't ask me which ones they are. I just somewhat know their names. All right. I looked them up at one point. I don't know them all, but it was like Leo, Sagittarius, Scorpio, I don't know, asparagus. Y'all let me know, man. I don't know. Cancer, Gemini, all these, y'all get the point, right? Aries, all, and we damn near worship the stars because we believe those constellations are telling us something. We believe, okay, that constellation means this. And if the constellation is on this side of the earth or it shines bright like this, that means today's going to be my day. That's idol worship. Because of Christianity, we give more trust in stars than the Lord that put them there. That's why Romans chapter 1 was saying we worship the creation more than the creator. That's why it says the Bible. And so when it said Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God, because you could only come to the men of the Lord to inquire about the Most High. It was never just on your own. Never an interpretation. Like that's why the Bible says in the Old Testament, lean not upon your own interpretation, and then in the New Testament it says the Bible is not unto private interpretation. It says these things because people don't, that you could just believe and say whatever, even though the Lord did not put you in charge to say a goddamn thing. Y'all understand? Like we have to realize that. So Exodus chapter 18, verse 16, when they have a matter, so when the people have a matter, they come unto me. Matter like some situation, it could be anything. You would come to Moses, right, for that matter. And I judge between one and another, meaning there's one person here, or a group of people here, a group of people here. And Moses was in charge to give a authoritative opinion, all right, or an authoritative decision of where and then. And I done make them know the statutes of God and his laws. And also by doing this, he also teaches the people, he also teaches us how to keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Like God's laws, statutes, and commandments isn't just not eating pork. Like because of Christianity, when we say the law is not good, and we teach them that we have to keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments, they go straight to, oh well, we can still eat that pork though. It's nothing else. It's always pork. They fight. These Christians fight keeping the law based on pork, based on eating shellfish and pork. Their main arguments at times is so they can continue to eat pork. They throw away the entire law. They throw away the entire economic structure in the layout of the law. They out how to deal with stealing, all right, how to deal with domestic cases, how to deal with owning property, how to deal with giving your inheritance, passing down your inheritance and your property and your land to your children. They always they can have some pork on Sunday, or some ribs throughout Wednesday, or some shellfish on Thursday. You understand? Or they can continue to have sex with their boyfriend if they're a man, or keep having sex with their girlfriend if they're a woman. Like Christians throw all of that away just for that. And how disgusting is that? Right? Like how truly disgusting something like that is. I want y'all to realize that. Once again, the law was a layout for our people to live by. It was a blueprint. It was a structure for us. It was a whole plan for us to take it, live it, enact it, enforce it, to establish the nation of Israel. That was the purpose of it all. All right. And so Moses was in charge of doing all of this. Select it. And so now, verse 17, and Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. So he said, the thing that you're doing is not good. Now, there's a reason why it's not good. I'll explain it right here. In verse 18, thou wilt surely wear away both thou and this people that is with thee. For this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Perform it thyself alone. So now Jethro is saying to Moses, like, this is such a heavy burden on you. Like, this is heavy. This is like a lot. This is a big task. This is a big responsibility just for you and you alone. And you're going to wear yourself out. The people are going to wear themselves out, because in order to get everything done, is that they're only coming to you. And so from morning to the afternoon, they're just asking you a bunch of questions. All right. And they're trying to get their concerns and their questions answered. Try to handle this case. That's all on you, Moses. You're going to wear yourself out. Like, you can't just perform this yourself. And so now Jethro, let's see what Jethro says after this. Joseph, "Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel." So now Jethro, his father-in-law, is giving Moses counsel. And this was the counsel of Jethro. And God shall be with thee. So I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Now, even though Jethro was another nation, right? It's not that he did not know about the mighty power of the Israelite God. You understand? The God of the Israelites. Like, these other nations knew about the God of Israel. It's not that we did not know. It's not that these other nations did not know about the God of the Bible, which is the God of the Israelites. It's not that they did not know. All right. Some just chose to not give a damn. Right. Some just decided not to give a damn. But of course, they knew of our power due to the great things that they heard that the God of the Israelites. That's why once you read into Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, you'll see how when we interact with these other nations, some of those nations are like, oh, nah, we're not beefing with the Israelites. You see what their God could do? We're not beefing with the Jews. You seen what they could do? There's some big cloud in the air following them and destroying everything in its path if it's necessary. We're not messing with them. Like, these other nations knew of us. They knew how much, they knew if the Lord was with us, you were not beating us. Our nation was a warrior nation. Like, our nation is built off of soldiers. Like, the nation of Israel was a militant nation. Like, like the term civilization, meaning that nation or whatever, was ran by civilians. But in the nation of Israel, Our nation ran by civilians. Our nation was ran by soldiers. It was ran by militancy. It was ran by priests. Like our nation isn't like how America is set up, and you got a bunch of civilians that never enlisted in their army, their air force, their navy, their marines. None of that. It's not like that. Our people that were in charge, they were militant. They were soldiers. They were warriors. You understand? All right. They had a militant mindset because God is a man of war. So naturally, if our God and our power is a man of war, then a of war naturally. That's just that's just it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets the point, right? And so Jethro was saying, "Hearken unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be faithful to God's word, that thou mayest bring the cause unto the Most High." And so now he's saying, right, God will be with thee, meaning be thou for the people to God's word, that thou mayest bring the cause unto God, meaning bring this cause to the Most High. I'm not telling you to do what I say. I'm telling you, bring this cause to the Most High, and may the Most High approve it, right? May the Most High say, okay, this is something you can do. Verse 20, and thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shall show them wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. And so now, and thou shalt teach them. Let me go back real quick. Hopefully I didn't miss anything in the last scripture real quick. I'm going to go back real quick. Hold on. I feel like I missed something. Let me double check. I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Okay, I didn't miss anything. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything because we break down every word in it. It says, and thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shall show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Because this was the job of Moses. This was Moses' position, was to make sure Israel God's laws, statutes, and commandments, ordinances, the different orders that the Lord put down, the laws that the Lord put into place. Like that was the job of Moses. All right. That was Moses' job. You were supposed to do such things. All right. Moses was supposed to, that was Moses' position. Moreover, thou shalt provide. Here we go. It says Exodus 18 and 21. All right. Exodus 18 and 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men. It said able men. All right. It didn't say able sisters. It didn't say able women. It said able men. Now I want y'all to understand this. No shots to them sisters out there. Y'all sisters, beautiful, elegant, and everything. But not everything requires a woman to do. All right? It's just that simple. You don't have to do everything as a woman. Not everything is for a woman to do. That's just what as a sister. Not everything is for a woman to do. Some things are just ordered by God for men to do, and that's that. And this is what this is right here. It's not that we're ordering ourselves to do this in certain things, but God said for that out. Moreover, than thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such. And so if y'all don't know what that word means, I believe that word means like injustice. I'm gonna look up that word for you. All right, real quick. Let me get the right spelling for it. It's spelled in the Old English, but I'm gonna get it for for you in the I believe it means like injustice, if I'm not mistaken. Covetousness. Well, sorry, not covetousness. I mean covetousness. Covetousness, meaning to convey. But let's get that up there. I don't think that means injustice. Covetousness meaning to convey. We're about to find it out. I believe that means like to covet, like to want something that's not yours. I believe that is covetousness, but let's look it up to be sure. Let's look it up to be sure. I believe the word is covetousness or covetousness. Covetousness. Let's look it up. Definitely from the word covet. All right, marked by inordinate desire for wealth or possessions, or for another's possession, having a craving for possession. And so that's what covet. So that's what it means to covet. All right, to want something someone else's possession. All right, and so these were the men that the Lord said for this is what Jethro was saying to Moses to ask God, right, to do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, meaning men that actually fear the Lord, men of truth, men that are not going to lie, that are not going to be fake. All right, hating covetousness, meaning men that are not going to want something that's not theirs, that someone already owns. You understand? And place such over them, right? As well, meaning ones that are even over them, to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties and rulers of tens. Now, and for y'all troopers that desire to be officers, y'all young men that desire to be troopers, and when they be officers, Lord willing, this is where the ranking system comes from. All right. Everything we do is in the Bible. All right. We just don't make these things up. I am in office of 5,000 Yerashima. Where we get that from? One place where we get it from is right here in Exodus chapter 18, verse 21. Like this is how we were supposed to establish the government of the Most High. Everybody doesn't know this because not in the Bible. But this is how you were supposed to set up your nation of people if you were an Israelite. Those Christians don't know what they're doing. Those deacons, those bishops, they don't know what they're doing. We were supposed to establish our society based off of this, where it says the rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds and rulers of fifties and rulers of tens. Those numbers were the people that you were in charge of and their families. So if you were a ruler of thousand, you were a ruler over 1,000 men and their families, 100 men and their families. Rulers of fifties, 50 men and their families. Rulers of tens, 10 men and their families. All right. That's who you were going to be in charge of. And then other men were also in charge of you. That 1,000, that 100 was in charge of that 50, that 50 was in charge of that 10. All right. You understand? Like that's why we have the ranking system that we do in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, because it's in the Bible. And this is what Jethro was saying to ask the Most High. Exodus chapter 18, verse 22. And let them judge the people at all seasons. It says, and let them judge the people at all seasons, meaning not just some of the time, but all the time. You understand? And it shall be that every great matter they shall to thee matter, so shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. And so the purpose of this is that so the burden is just not all on Moses. So any big matters, let Moses handle it. But smarter, okay, these rulers of thousands and hundreds and fifties and tens, let them handle it. That's a small matter. You understand? Like that's why not like okay, like for an example, think about it this way. You don't have to go to General Yohana for everything. You don't have to go to General Mahaiman for everything. That's why you have a camp leader in your zone, because that man is responsible for you. I like it. I knocked the camera down. 1 second. It's banging on the tip. Can y'all still see me now? Let me get that right. So like that's why you have a camp leader, right? Because he is responsible over you. He is responsible to answer all of your questions. He's responsible to handle the small matters happening in his zone. You understand? Like Captain Natazak Nashah, he is responsible of handling the situations within his zone. All right. If the situation is a big matter, then there's a whole council for that. Then you speak to the generals that are in charge of handling that. Like it's set up that way. We get that from the Bible. We get it right here. This is where it comes from. Like we're not making these things up. We go into our records, we go into our history, and we organize ourselves the way the Lord wants us to organize ourselves. That's why when y'all call the school number, I pick up because I'm able to handle the small matters, all right, within this zone under by the authority of Captain Natazak Nashah, of course. He gave me the authority to be able to handle small matters. If the matters are too big, then Captain Natazak Nashah, then we also have Captain Ash. If it's crazy big, then once again, that's when there's a whole council with the generals. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the ranking order. This is the structure of building a nation and making sure everything. This is where everything comes from. All right, let's get into it. This is so not everything is just on one man. Verse 23. If thou shalt do this thing, I command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure. And all this people shall also go to their place in peace. So if you put this into place and God approves of it, if God approves this, everything is going to be fine, right? Everything's going to be good. Verse 24. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said. So Moses did everything that his father-in-law said. He took the counsel. He seen that it was okay. All right. The next verse should be Moses going to the Most High, I believe. And Moses chose able men of all Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds. So Moses went into the nation of Israel, all right, and got able men and did exactly that. That's exactly what he did. Verse 26. And they judged. And they judged the people, right? And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moses, but every small matter they judged upon themselves. All right. So of course, this is how we established our nation, right? This is exactly what those priests and officers did. All right. If there was a hard matter, it was quite too, maybe it was just too difficult. Moses handled it. It was a very hard, but if it was like a small matter, I'll handle that. You know, and of course, who's ever in charge can easily determine if that or hard or small, whatever it is. All right. If it was a hard matter or like a heavy matter, of course, if you are in charge, if you think this is a little too much for you, then it may just be a hard matter for you because you're not equipped to do so. Officer, someone comes to you, right, and you're like, it's kind of tough. I'm not sure. Then call the man above you because maybe he can handle the matter. And then if he cannot handle the matter, all right, then the brother above him can handle the matter. That's a spiritual. That's a spiritual thing too as well to keep in mind, right? This is the same. This is the same. This is a similar account, right? This is a similar account, and so I'm about to get in Numbers chapter 11, and that's a spiritual thing too, Akim. All right, because that problem that brother or sister may be coming to you about can easily be a demon. And that demon may be too strong for you to handle. You may not be equipped to handle that demon at that time. No sweat. But with a demon that you are not capable of battling. You want to know, don't be overzealous, all right? Or don't be over the top of your head, all right? Don't do that. Don't think because you're some officer you have to be able to do such a thing. All right. Like that's not a thing. You don't have to, you don't have to. All right. That's because you have men above you that are fully capable of handling that kind of situation. That demon might be too much above you. Because what that demon is because that demon wants someone weak that's not able to defeat. That demon wants someone that's not going to be able to defeat it. So the demon can stay. Or the demon wants you too. You understand? Demon may want you as well. And so because the demon is already there on the brother or the sister that's coming to you with the problem, the demon wants you too. You understand? The demon wants everybody. Whatever the hell's going on, the demon wants everybody. So what you don't want to do is let the demon win and get you. All right. And now the brother above you has to battle an even stronger demon. Now there's two demons. Same demon. All right. And it's even stronger now. All right. We don't want that. We don't want that. All right. Let those demons be handled properly. If the situation is a hard matter and that demon, the brother above you deal with that demon. He may actually know how to deal with that demon properly. All right. He might actually be able to deal with that demon properly. All right. That's how it is. That's how everything is set up. All right. So now, Numbers 11 and 14. I am not able to bear all the bloom heavier for me. Now, of course, this is like a similar situation. Now, to give you the context right here in Numbers 11, all right, the children of Israel, it may be in these verses, it may be above, but to give you I believe this is when the children of Israel were murmuring against the Most High. Right. I believe, right. So this is when Israel made the Lord angry because they wanted meat. Right, they wanted meat. They wanted meat to eat and no longer manna, which is like the fish. All right. And this was a bird. It was this hard issue. All right. And they were tired of eating bread and fish. All right. Like that was our diet in the wilderness was bread and fish, bread and fish. You understand? Like that that was our diet. And the Israelites, we got tired of it. We were sick of it. We were like, oh, hell nah, Moses. We ain't dealing with this no more. I want some real food. There was better food in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Like they went up to Moses like we were better off in Egypt. At least, Moses, Egypt didn't have fish and bread. We had all kinds of food in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? We had loin and sirloin and nice cut steak, and we had some good Caesar salads. We had some good portions. Egypt did as well. You know what I'm saying? The Israelites was just on Moses. Like, Egypt, you brought us out here to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, these were the accounts that the Israelites were going against Moses with. You understand? And Moses was like, oh, nah, you ain't doing this. And the Lord also heard these things. And the Lord called it murmuring. And the Lord heard these murmurs of them coming against Moses. Oh, you never brought us out here to die. You brought us out here to die. Egypt had better food. They had Applebee's and Chick-fil-A and Chili's, and we out here just eating fish and bread. You know what I'm saying? The Israelites just had enough. All right. Now, of course, Egypt didn't really have Applebee's and Chili's and Chick-fil-A. I'm just saying, I'm using that to help everybody understand like how the Israelites felt about leaving Egypt, just like how Negroes would feel leaving America. Think about it today. All right. Let's say we were in the wilderness right now and we just had a fish and bread diet. Everyone would be in the wilderness. We had better food in America. We didn't have to worry about catching our food and hunting our own food and all this other type of stuff. We had the luxury of buying our food and going to McDonald's and Applebee's and Caesars and Pizza Hut and Domino's and the Chinese. We had the luxury of going to Walmart, shopping for our own groceries. We miss Food Lion and we miss Walmart and we miss Costco and Sam's Club, where we could buy things in bulk. Like, we're not used to all this hunting and fishing for our own stuff. And these were the murmurs that Moses would be hearing. All right. Because this is the process of establishing a nation. At one point in time, America was only fishing and hunting. And then one day, America got great enough people to open up meat shops and meat factories and meat processing plants and a bunch of farms and things like that to sell things by the thousands and make a bunch of money off of it. But at first, everybody was hunting and fishing at first. In your market to buy from someone that fished or that hunted, all right? Or you had your own, your dad knew how to hunt. And you would go out there and hunt for the deer or the elk or wherever you were, and you would bring it back and make some venison. Or you had cows and you had chickens, and you was able to make that into your food. All right, and then it grew into a bunch of factories and processing plants, right? But this is the beginning of establishing a nation, and so what it took to establish a nation. And that was the point of being in the wilderness for those 40 years. All right. And verse 15, and if thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee out of hand, right? If I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness. Like, most of it, he's like, oh, hell no. Nah. Like, this is just too much, right? Verse 16, and the Most High said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men, all right, of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And so the order from the Lord was, grab these elders of the tribes, all right, of the elders of Israel, so like it, and grab these off that are over these people and bring them to the tabernacle. Like, this was like the Lord heard Moses, and the Lord said, no sweat, Moses. This is what I want you to do. I want you to bring these 70 men, get these 70 men of the elders of Israel, also bring me these officers and bring them to I and rough out there. You're by yourself, you're alone, things are getting tough. This is what I want you to do. All right. This is the Lord establishing Israel. Like, this is why we do the things that we do in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, because this is how you truly establish God's government. Like, whatever the Christian church is doing is absolutely horrific. Like, that's not what the Lord wants. The Lord wants this right here. What we're reading right now in Numbers 11, this is what the Lord set up from the beginning of time. I just proved to you that if you want to, the Lord chose, right, to be in charge of Israel. The Lord put Moses in charge, and then under Moses, other men were put in charge. We're about to read it right here, actually. This one gives you, this is a cut. This right here is the foundation, and this is like damn near the bedrock of why we have generals and captains and officers in the school life. All right, and I'll come and talk with thee, so I can talk with thee there, and I will take of the spirit which is upon thee. So the Lord is going to take the spirit. The Lord is going to take the spirit which is upon thee, which is upon Moses, and will put it upon them. That's what the Lord is going to do. It's going to be put on the men that are going to be under Moses. You understand? Everybody understands that, right? This is what the Lord is saying. I want y'all to pay attention to this. It said, the Lord said, I'm going to take your spirit and I'm going to put it there. Someone let me know why the Lord is saying that. Like, that's something very heavy. All right. Like, this is like to get for time. What time is it? I'm gonna just go through it for time's sake. Like, it was important for the nation to be in one spirit. It was important for the people, for the men that are going to be in charge of the people and in charge of the nation of Israel to be in one spirit. That's why when you go in Ephesians, all right, the Lord, that's why Paul was saying, let us be in one body, one baptism, one God, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. That's why the one spirit. Like, that's why Paul was saying those things, because this was always our culture. Like, if you were not within the same spirit, there was nothing but chaos. There was nothing but disorganization. And the problem is Christianity breeds organization, sisters believing they can do whatever the hell they want. Brothers and sisters now, because of Christianity, believe that they can be in charge of themselves. They can establish themselves. They can do what they want to do. They can do what they feel is right. They can do what they think is right. And the Lord was never with that. Nothing but chaos. You understand? You understand? And because of so, other brothers and sisters under them are following them into a goddamn pit, into nothing but destruction. Like, this is horrible. So the Lord said, I'm going to take the spirit of and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, and thou bear it not thyself alone. So I'm going to put the spirit on them, and they're going to bear the burden with you. All right? So you're not alone. And this was the establishing nation of Israel of how things are going to it. So the burden is not just on Moses alone. Remember, you got thousands and thousands of think about it. You got nothing but Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, El Salvadorians. Think of all of Africa, all the so-called Native Americans, all the blacks, all right, just in one area in the wilderness. And Moses was just in charge of them. And Moses was like, oh, hell no. Nah. It started to get kind of rough. It got kind of rough. He's like, oh, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? It got a little rough. He's like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You got a bunch of brothers complaining that they don't want no more fish and bread no more. You got a bunch of brothers thinking that they should be in charge. You know what I'm saying? You got brothers thinking that they should be in charge. We're not going to get into that today. All right, we don't got enough time to get into that today. But you got brothers in the wilderness thinking that they saw and they should have some authority, and they thought Moses took too much upon himself, and all this other nonsense. Like this was what was going on in the wilderness. And it was and Moses was like, this is far too much. You know what I'm saying? You know, Moses coming down the mountain, they have more gods and idols. And Moses like, hey, yo, what is going on here? Y'all wilding. Y'all really tripping. Like, you know, it started to get a little rough. So the Lord put these things in place in order to properly establish the nation of Israel. You understand? And that's what the Israelites were establishing God's government. We're not establishing any kind of government here. We are establishing God's government. All right. You understand? This is God's government we're establishing. You understand? Which is under the authority of Christ. You get it? Everybody gets the point. And say thou unto right, and say thou unto the people, sacrifice yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh, for you have wept in the ears of the Most High, saying, hold on, saying, who shall give us the, it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat. All right. So you know, remember before the context before some of these scriptures, right? The Israelites was talking about how good Egypt was. All right, they were down at the bottom talking about I don't want to eat no fish and bread. I want Applebee's. I want them Caesars, that Domino's, that Pizza Hut, that McDonald's, that Burger King. Like I don't know why you brought me out in this wilderness to die, Moses, but I got a whole life to live. I need to go back to Egypt. Egypt took good care of us. You brought us out here to die. You understand? All right. Numbers 11 and 19. Ye shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days. All right. Meaning y'all not just going to eat these amount of days. Y'all going to eat. Since y'all complain as before, no sweat. Y'all gonna get what they ask for. Don't even sweat it. 11:20. But even a whole month until it come out your nostrils, and it be loathsome unto you, because that ye have despised the Most High, which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why come we forth out of Egypt? Because remember, they were complaining to Moses, saying, why the hell did you bring us out here? You must have brought us out here to die. We eat nothing but fish and bread. All right. So the Lord said, don't you worry about it. I'm gonna give you so much meat, you would have wished you did said nothing. I'm gonna give you so much meat, you're gonna hate what I give you. Understand? Like the Bible is black. You understand? And the Lord was big on giving you what you want, but not in the way you thought. You understand? And I'm gonna give you what you want. Don't you worry about it. I'm gonna give you what you want. Right? But you're gonna hate it. You understand? You're gonna hate it. You're gonna wish I never gave you this, and you wish you would have just shut the hell up to begin with. You understand? That's what the Lord is going to do. That's what the Lord is about. You understand? The Bible is black. You understand? And so Moses was going through all these problems in the wilderness. Brothers and sisters is talking a bunch of smack and all this other nonsense. Like, why are we out here? Right? Moses was dealing with this right here. Let's keep going. Numbers chapter 11, verse 21. And Moses said, the people amongst whom I am are 600, and thou hast said, I will give them flesh, and they may eat a whole month. All right. And so were they now, of course, right? He's not literally saying there's 600,000, like that's not talking about, like a foot, like how tall they are, talking about how like people there are. All right. And so they may eat a whole month. All right. That's just the length of time, not like an exact month. All right. It's just a length of time. I'm saying it's going to be a long time. All right. It's going to be a long time. Numbers 11 and 22. Be slain for them to suffice them, or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to sacrifice them? All right. And so now, of course, like in the Israelites, when we sacrificed animals, we ate that meat. That meat was cooked. All right. So that's why it's using the word sacrifice. It's not literally, this isn't like a literal sacrifice or like some form of offering or a sacrifice or anything like that. This is just the terminology that we use. All right, because we a sacrifice is usually cooked. All right, so we know that this is the food that we're going to prepare and cook. All right. All right. Numbers 11:23. Is the Lord's hand waxed short? Thou shalt see now whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not. So he's saying, you think, pretty much, y'all thought the Lord was playing games. You thought the Lord was not capable of doing what you were asking for. No, no sweat. You thought Egypt was better. Like, that was the real issue going on. They chose, like, this is the problem that we even have today. We choose to serve America, and we give more glory and power to America than we give the Most High. Voting gives America more power than the Most High. Voting and a senator and a governor and a mayor over you gives America more power and glory over the Most High. And that is a sin. And that is against God. And that's what we were doing in the wilderness. Because the way they were doing, talking about we should go back to Egypt because Egypt had better food here and they took care of us and we wasn't going to be out in the wilderness that we don't even know where the hell we're going and dying and all this other nonsense. Like, you trusted, like we trust, like the Israelites trusted Egypt, the ones that were murdering them, killing them, they put in jail, hunting their steps. You understand? Just antagonizing them, being just being wicked to them and so evil to them. We trusted them more than someone like us that's truly trying to lead us out of a place of captivity. Like, we we were so accustomed to Egypt that we were fighting our actual leader that the Lord put in charge to go back. Someone that's explain like some like we that's how sick and lost and destroyed we are as a people. It's called Stockholm syndrome. The Israelites right now, they're going through Abraham. They fell in love with their oppressor. They fell in love with their abuser, and so they know nothing but the love of their abuser and their oppressor. And so they're like, "This is where I need to be," and they can't see how important it was for them and to never go back. They couldn't see it because the Lord did not make them see it. The Lord made Moses see it though. And the Lord was going and like the Lord said in Numbers, he's going to take the spirit of Moses and put it on the brothers under him. I want y'all to understand something right here. Some of y'all officers in here. You guys are being trained to see what our people cannot see. You understand? I want y'all to understand that. We are being trained to see what people cannot see. We see the dangers of being a part of America. We see the dangers of voting. We see the dangers of eating pork, shrimp, and lobster. We see the dangers in celebrating these holidays. We believe, we see the dangers of, the LGBTQ and those dangers, but our people do not. We see the dangers of pornography and child molestation, all these things. We see the dangers in those things, but our people do not. All right. Like, there's a insight that the Lord gives to the men, the Lord, you understand, and who the Lord put in charge. That insight is not given to everyone. That wisdom is not given to everyone. That's why I don't know if y'all remember, we're paying attention to that class that Captain Nakazaki was doing. All right, but that's why Christ spoke in parables, because forever. I keep banging on this damn table. Like, I'm being on the goddamn desk, and this camera keeps falling. Almost like I have not learned my lesson to not being on the table. Like, all right, like this is what's going on. You understand? We see. All right, let's keep going. Numbers 11, verse 24. Numbers 11, verse 24. And Moses went out and told the people the word and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people and set them around about the tabernacle. So Moses gathered the brothers, gathered the elders and the men, and now they're at the tabernacle. All right. Because that's what he was ordered to do. All right. Because the Bible is about following orders. That's what the Bible is about. It's about following orders. Numbers 11 verse Numbers chapter 11 verse 25. And the Most High came down in a cloud unto him. Right now, I don't want y'all to don't get crazy science fiction. All right, I don't want y'all to get too crazy science fiction. All right, but in the wilderness, all right, in the wilderness, there were a lot of things done that were unimaginable in our eyes today, right? And those very same things are going to happen again, just to let you know, all right? And you're going to be like, damn, that is crazy. And when it happens, just know, act of God, that complete act of God. And the Lord came down in the cloud and spake unto him and took the spirit that was upon him. So the Lord took the spirit and put it upon Moses. All right, took it and put it upon them and gave it unto the 70 elders. Now, let me say that one more time. And spake unto him and took of the spirit that was upon him, because there was a spirit that was upon Moses, which was what? That was the spirit of the Lord. Moses had the spirit of the Most High and gave it unto the 70 elders. And then the Lord put that spirit of the Most High on the 70, on those elders as well. You understand? He put them out there. He put on there. And it came to pass that when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not cease. You understand? Once that spirit was put on them, they knew exactly what to do and to say. You understand? They knew exactly. Now, don't think magic. Understand? Don't think it's like a whole, like, this is a spiritual moment. This is a spiritual moment, but don't think magic though. It's a very spiritual moment. You understand? This comes just teaching and training. Teaching and training and teaching and training. The Bible is about teaching and training. The nation, God is about teaching and training and building up. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is about going to war and being militant, training, teaching and training. Like this is the spirit of the Lord. And this is the kind of spirit that Moses had, because that was the spirit of the Lord. And that same spirit was put on these 70 men. Verse 26. But there remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of Abidad. But there remained 2 of the men. So the 2 of the men that was supposed to be the 70 men, right, in the camp. There remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the spirit rested upon them. So the spirit was upon them. The Lord that was on Moses rested upon them, and they were of them that were written, right? They were of them that were written, meaning the ones that were supposed to receive the spirit of the, all right, then to them, they were a part of it already. All right. They were already, the spirit they just were not there. All right, in the top, they were not there in front of the tabernacle, but they were still going to get that spirit. All right, that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle. Oh, Salakia, I read it. Salakia, I already knew that they weren't there at the tabernacle. I forgot that it was written right there. But went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp, because a camp, like, you know, we were in the camp, like, you know, think about how, y'all may not know this, but think of like how the army was, and you see there's a bunch of tents set up everywhere and people living out of the tents. Think of how the Native Americans lived. That's a camp. And there ran a young man, right? And there ran a young man. There you go. There ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp, right? So this young man is running. Two brothers, Eldad and Medad, they out there prophesying in the camp. Can anybody guess why this young man ran to Moses the way he did? Did anybody want to guess why he ran to Moses? He didn't just run to him for no reason at all. Why do it? Right? Verse 28 will explain it. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, all right, one of his young men answered and said, my Lord Moses, forbid them, right? Because you were just not allowed, without permission, without the right authority, you were just not allowed to do what you wanted to do. You were not allowed to prophesy. You were not allowed to teach. You were not allowed to be an authority. You were just not allowed to do what you wanted to do or what you thought was right. One was not aware of what was supposed to happen. You understand? Right? Nobody was aware that there were going to be 70. Not everyone was aware that 70 men were going to go in front of the tabernacle and get the spirit that was on Moses, which was the spirit of the Lord, and get put on that. Not everyone was aware of this. And because everyone is busy trying to go back to Egypt. Everyone's busy complaining and murmuring against the Lord and not giving a damn about anything. No one is really aware of what the hell is going on. So, but there were some like, hey, we're not right though. Some young men out there, some brothers out there knew, like, you're not allowed to just do that though. Some things are just like, hey, wait a minute. You're not allowed to just start teaching and building up and, you know, claiming to be in charge. That just don't sound right. So that young man, all right, that wasn't just any ordinary, all right, person. That young man is someone that, you know, this is why we call, that's why that's where we get young man from, by the way. We get it from here. If you're a young man, you're someone in training or shedding yourself the world to become a trooper, and then, Lord willing, in a position like an officer, 50, and etc., etc. That's why we say, oh, this is young man such and such, right? So these young men are brothers, of course, trying to do what they're doing. Something like, hey, like it was a red flag to that young man, and this young man saying the same thing in verse 28. Like, wait a minute, Moses, forbid them. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's because you were not allowed to just go out and teach and prophesy without the proper authority, without the proper permission. We say these things purposely. Like, a lot of brothers and sisters are wondering why we say the ISUK is the home of the truth. We're the only ones authorized to teach and all this other stuff. It's because we get it from the Bible. It's right here, right? The one saying that everyone has the truth and everyone has the permission to teach, and we all have the Spirit of the Lord, then you are clearly a part of the problem. If you are a brother and sister saying we all have the Spirit of the Lord, we all have the permission to teach, the Lord is dealing with one person, the Lord is dealing with everybody, you know, like, you are a part of the problem. You are why the nation cannot come together. You are the reason why we're still killing each other. You're the reason why we can't get our cities together. You're the reason why nothing but hell is breaking loose. You understand? Give me one. So like now, and so once again, like you are a part of the problem on why this is still going on. You understand? Like not everyone is authorized to teach. That's in the Bible. That's why this is happening right here. Let's go to verse 29, the closing. And Moses said unto him, earnest thou for my sake, envious thou for my sake, that the people prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. With God, that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. And so those brothers, the Lord still put the spirit upon them because they were already written. They were on record that they were those, but they weren't there. But the spirit of the Lord was still put upon them. All right. So it's not so a lot of brothers get confused talking about, oh well, the brothers, me dad and El dad, they did their own thing. They did not do that. They did exactly what the Lord said that they were going to do, which was what he said that he was going to do was take the spirit of Moses and put it upon those 70 brothers. All right. And they were going to bear the burden, help keep the nation in check, in charge, and deal with different matters and situations, and help teach and build the people up and teach them laws, statutes, and commandments. Like this was throughout the Bible. The Lord will put a man in charge, and then under that man, the Lord put other men in charge. All right. And that's how you get the authority and you get ordained to be able to speak and teach about the Most High. Like you could not just bring upon yourself the authority and the position to be in charge of God. It was never of the Lord. The Lord never operated that way. That's why the Christian church is so destroyed. That's why these pastors don't know what they're doing. That's why these bishops and deacons don't know what they're doing. That's why our sisters are this way and our brothers are this way. This is why. Because I would put them in charge when the Lord did not put them in charge. Like this is why our communities and our cities are such in a disaster, because the Lord never put these brothers in charge. The Lord never put those deacons and pastors that we see today in charge. Creflo Dollar was never in charge. T.D. Jakes was never supposed to be in charge. Like you name them. You know what I'm saying? Like you were never, like you were never supposed, like you were not allowed right, to just take upon yourself, right, yourself a position that the Lord did not put you in. Like that was not something you were supposed to do, and the Lord was absolutely against it. You understand? Like this is you know. So let me know if for all the brothers and sisters. Hopefully y'all took notes. All right, everybody took notes. Does everybody understand? Does everybody get the premise of tonight's topic? All right. Let me know. Kind of like everybody understand. Everybody gets this topic. Everybody take notes and learn something new. All right. All right. So with that, Israel, I say shalom. Yahweh. All right. And shalom. Yahweh Shamar al Thun by Hashem Yahushua to the sisters. All right. With that, shalom.